But I keep seeing on Twitter and social media that the Cardinals did absolutely nothing to improve their team. Now, there were moves I wanted them to make. I've been pretty clear. I was hoping to get a left-hand thumping bat, right?
Yeah.
And I would have liked to seen Quintana signed on a 2-year deal.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've said that.
So who loses their spot in the rotation?
Who knows?
You're banking on an injury.
Yeah, because you're going to have one.
So you tell Quintana, hey, come on over. Somebody will get hurt.
I think they could have signed him. I could be wrong. Like, I'm not claiming to have that inside information. I wanted them to do that and then figure it out because, as I've said before, well, we have 6 starters. Well, at some point you're going to have 3. That's all I'm saying. Those are the moves I would have liked to have seen made. Getting Contreras wouldn't have been my first move, although I think it's a great addition and helps them a lot. But to ignore the fact that they went out and got maybe the premier catcher out there, and then to say they did nothing to improve their ball club, I don't get that. And
people
I see
complaining
it all
that
the
much.
time.
They're complaining that much.
I see it all.
How about this? I think that's a good question. I don't want to say what I'm going to say is a better question, but how about this for a more fair question? First of all, you can't ignore the fact that you added by far the best free agent catcher. Now, was he the best overall with Murphy? I think, who knows? We'll see.
Maybe.
That's a fair argument.
Yeah.
I hear a lot from people, which I do agree with. Did you close the gap at all between you and the elite teams that you'll be facing in the postseason? We know you can win the Central. We know you'll be the favorite. You should beat the Brewers. You should beat the Cubs. Cubs are trying a little more. Cubs are spending. But did the Cardinals really, did they shorten that gap, that margin between Phillies, Dodgers, Braves, Mets? And I think you could say no or maybe just a little bit.
So they're 2 separate questions. And
Correct.
I'm not saying we're only talking, it's a conversation. So I threw it out there to start a conversation. So are they doing nothing to improve, which I see a lot, that they don't care? I disagree with that. Have they closed the gap? I think that's a legitimate question. But I think it's one that we can't answer now because the Cardinals believe that with the emergence or the resurgence of certain players, they will close that gap. And at the top of the list is obviously Jack Flaherty. And you're hoping for Tyler O'Neill. We've talked about 1,000,000 times, but it comes back to that. What is Tyler O'Neill going to be? What do they have in Walker, who they're going to give a chance to make the opening day roster? I read somewhere that the Cardinals don't want him to. They're not going to give him a chance. Oh, they will.
I saw that too, yeah. I saw that too.
They're going to give him a chance. So there's all these unknowns that could be the pieces that get them closer, but right now we don't know. So the answer to my first question is, did the Cardinals just sit there and not improve? Of course not. They got the big-ticket catcher that they needed. Have they closed the gap? And it's a cop-out. We will see because they're banking on the emergence or resurgence of certain players.
I like this. This is in our T-shirt. Emergence/resurgence, strengthen. Wait, is it lengthen, not strengthen? What is it?
It is strengthen, not lengthen. Because here's the thing. And Cam, you and I have gone, when we have our private conversations about the rest of the dais, I stress this to you.
Yeah, I got my own Chinese.
I got
my own Chinese balloon that's spying on you guys, so I know everything you're saying.
Yeah, you do.
I don't want to lengthen the lineup. I get it. I want to strengthen the lineup.
it.
I wanted a thumper in the middle of the
monster.
Okay, here's my opinion, and this is the same opinion because nothing has changed in the last month. And please, spring training, get here so we can talk about new stuff. But
wait, hold on before you finish. But I asked in a different way, so it might seem different.
Again, I wasn't critiquing you.
No,
I was more critiquing, I'm bored with baseball. Let's start playing. Yeah. Let's start talking about it. I think, and we're allowed to disagree here on this show and in this country, okay? I thought the 2 biggest needs, catcher and an ace, or catcher and you need to strike people out. You were last in baseball in strikeouts. They 100% addressed catcher. I give them all the credit in the world. In my opinion, They did not address strikeouts at all. They are banking on Jack Flaherty coming back. Even if Jack Flaherty's really, really good, I hope he is. I just still don't like how their starting rotation matches up in playoff series with the big
the big boys. With the big boys.
And I think that's very fair.
That's fair.
And I think a lot of other people are saying that. And again, like, could Miles Mikolas and Adam Wainwright go on a nice run in the postseason? Steven Matz, sure. I just think when you start to look at Astros, when you look at Verlander and Max Scherzer, I know it doesn't work out every year. I know it didn't work out last year with the Mets. I'm just saying, like, it's a different ball game when you're matching up against a couple of aces in a 7-game series, and I think that's where the Cardinals may get exposed in October.
Does it?
Phillies.
If Jack Flaherty is Flaherty, doesn't that change it?
Well, it does, but okay. Let's say they play the Phillies again in a 5 or a 7, whatever. Jack's your 1. You're still looking at Phillies. They still have Wheeler and Nola. I still take them over us. Us meaning the Cardinals. I don't play for them.
Not yet.
Not yet. Am I wrong there?
Listen, what is it, Desmet?
Men for all.
No.
Yes, it's Desmet.
So, a lot of teams.
Cardinals for others.
A lot of teams have the approach, we're going to acquire a lot of players. The Cardinals have the Desmet. Men for others.
Men for others. God.
Thank you, Jeff Witt.
He just brings it up. It's never going to end. It's just never going to end.
Let me ask you this question. This October, is there any pitcher besides Flaherty that the Cardinals feel really good about to go out there in a postseason game and throw 7 innings or 110 pitches? Because I think what was really interesting about this past postseason, if you look back, was Quintana great for the Cardinals? Yes. Was he really good in that playoff game? Yes. And yet still, your number 1 starter in the postseason, you did not feel confident going past 75 pitches, even though he was rolling, and he had thrown, 5 1/3. If you have an ace or two, you want those guys. You don't worry about third time through the lineup with Max Scherzer. You don't worry about third time through the lineup with Justin Verlander. You say, go throw 108 pitches.
And win the ball game.
To me, coming up, Flaherty's probably the only guy you feel like. I don't think Ollie's going to feel like, oh, Miles, Waino, Matt.
I think Miles can throw you 100 pitches.
Well, when did they pull him in the second game? He wasn't that bad.
They have a good bullpen. You know,
okay, but they pulled him in the second game. Wasn't it in the fourth?
It's quick.
He had given up a couple runs. Let's look it up. I believe he got pulled around the 4th inning of that second game.
If you're in a short series and you see something, I'll give you. I'll stipulate. Scherzer's a different guy. Verlander's a different guy. But if you're in a short
Wheeler
series
and Nola
like that, and you see something, and you have a bullpen stocked and ready to go, you're going to make a move.
See something, say something, Jimmy.
But them pulling Quintana early is part of the reason they had to go 2 innings with Helsley, which, by the way, I never would have complained about ever if it wasn't for the finger thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If Ryan Helsley had not walked off in Pittsburgh with a messed up finger, I promise you, I never would have critiqued him going out for 2 innings. I never would have.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
Even if Jack Flaherty is healthy, I can't imagine he's going to pitch more than 160 innings this year. Signed, local Matt. 618. It's been 3 years since the second half of 2019. Why does everyone say that is who Jack is instead of the other 3.5 years of his career? Spartan 4-4.
That's fair, too. But I'm saying I'm assuming health, which is something that I get if a lot of people don't assume that. I understand that. 100%.
Yeah. And time will tell, because if Jack isn't Jack, the Cardinals are going to have problems, and they're going to have to address them real quick.
Real quick.
You can't look at spring training and say that's a definite roadmap for what's ahead, but you get a feel, at least health-wise, how a guy is and how the ball's coming out of his hand. Yeah, I think if Jack's healthy, he will be an ace.
When you leaving?
Friday.
Friday.
Are you doing the show?
I'm doing the show.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I'm leaving Sunday.
Sunday.
So I'll be here Friday. And then you guys can just let me know
I will.
When you want me to chat.
Interesting, because pitchers and catchers report on Wednesday, right? Just going out for a couple early vacation days with the fam?
Well, if you would
by
know,
himself.
well, Charlie, if you would know from our interviews with Kiz, a lot of guys are already there.
Gotta
And
get
as
there
a
early.
veteran,
Well, why don't you just get there now then?
and as a veteran, you would know that sometimes before there's more structure, easier to get guys to sit down and do stuff.
Early bird worm.
Segment.
By the way, Miles Michaelis in that game pitched well. I'm not hating on him,
Yeah.
but he pitched 4 1/3, allowed 2 earned runs. If you have a Nola, if you have a Wheeler, if you have a Scherzer, if you have a Verlander, you don't usually pull those guys after 4 1/3. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Guys, stop making fun of Seth's alma mater slogan. It just means to be unselfish, which is a good thing. Your private school, high school insecurities are coming through. And before anyone else says it, I went to St. Charles High, so no private STL school for me. Sharon.
None of us
Yeah.
went to those schools, Sharon,
Yeah, I went to private school.
besides Seth, who we love.
Yeah.
And as a man for others.
A man.
He's the only man for others in the room.
When they came
I'm a
up
man
with-
for myself. My motto is man for me, no one else.
How
Men-
old-
men
Smith's
for
been around
dudes.
forever, right?
67?
So
1967.
let's say it's 1964, and they're putting all the ducks in a row to open this school. All right, motto. That's the last thing on the list.
Something
We hired
creative.
our
What do you want to do?
Something
We
creative.
have someone throw something out because we got Subway, and I would like one of those sandwiches over there. Men for all, done.
Done. Charlie talks circles around the cat when it comes to the Cardinals. It's like watching one person do calculus and the other playing with abacus.
An abacus.
Go to break.
That's Debbie Downer.
Go to break.
He's on you. Talks circles around you.
All right, Debbie.
Oh, those handbags ain't going to sell themselves, Sharon. Oh, God.
Man,
Whoa.
so mean-spirited.
Everybody's mean. The heck's going on around here?
I just feel like, here's my thing with the Cardinals. I think we're going to see the same thing. I hate to say that. I don't want it to be the case. I think they're going to win about 93 games.
Yeah.
They're going to win the Central.
Yep.
And I think they're going to have another disappointing postseason. I just do. And I hate to say that.
Yeah.
I want the magic of October.
What are you're just saying, yeah.
Well,
You don't want to get chirped by Debbie Downer.
nah, I don't. It's all good.
Could be.
I could be.
We'll see. I mean, I think we're going to get a feel for this team soon.
Yeah.
And what they have with some of the guys who are, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but there are going to be some guys who surge and some guys who reemerge. I forget what it was. Really smart. What was it, Charlie?
Resurgence and emergence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are going
there
to be
you go.
some guys who emerge and some guys who are going to resurge.
There it is.
Listen, man, I'm not a hater. I love the Cardinals position players. Everybody's worried about them. I'm not. They have tons of talent. Now, lefties in the bullpen, ace pitcher, I think that's the part of the team you look at right now and you say you're lacking versus other elite teams.
Oh, wow. Did that go through the mic?
Yeah, it did.
Man, that's heartburn right there.
What was that from?
Probably all the.
Would you have a burrito for breakfast?
No, man, I eat fruit. You know what I do. Probably the coffee. Well, I was sick all weekend. But now I feel good because I slept all weekend. NyQuil. God, a NyQuil. That thing, that F's you up, man. You could sleep. My neck hurt,
I don't like anything that makes me sleep because then I feel worse when I get
but I
up.
can't breathe, dude. I needed something.
Well, don't they have like Dayquil too, where you're?
Yeah, but that keeps you up. I'm trying to go to bed. If I can't breathe during the day, I could deal with it. But you try to sleep and you can't breathe. When you need sleep to get better, you got to take some NyQuil, dude, and it makes you feel like dog crap.
What about
Weird
Night
ass
Night?
dreams.
What about Night Night from Block
Yeah,
Dispensary?
I got them bad boys. They'll put you downtown
What about-
Chinatown.
What about Kate just hitting you in the head with a
They
mallet?
ain't gonna work.
One shot.
That ain't gonna work. Did you guys see Charles? I love Charles Barkley, man. He did say he's talking about GOATs, sports. He's like, there's only 2 real ones that he's ever met.
Can we guess?
Who are they? Who are they?
Brady.
Gretzky.
There
Has
it
to be
is.
Gretzky.
Gretzky and Brady.
Oh, I thought he'd say maybe Muhammad Ali.
No, did he? He might have mentioned.
No.
He might have mentioned. No,
I
he
don't know.
might have mentioned Muhammad
I didn't
Ali
see
on
it.
that.
I didn't see it.
But he did say Gretter and Brady. He said Brady is the nicest guy. That's what he said.
Okay, but I think you can't argue Gretzky.
Yeah, humble.
I don't think. No. I'm
He is
saying.
humble.
I'm saying the greatest player in any sport. I don't think you can argue Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
I think you can argue Tom Brady only from the sense of he has the most championships, but I don't think people say he's necessarily the most talented. Whereas Gretzky is just up there.
Yeah.
No one argues Wayne Gretzky.
But, man, dude, I watched a bunch of Tom Brady stuff over the weekend. Just like he's put together all these collages of his career. And, like, when you think he was down and out, he just did something crazy. And he came back and he won and he made plays and he did this, he did that.
And the draft
it's
reports
unbelievable
on him.
what he
did. He immobile.
It's unbelievable.
Okay arm.
Yeah.
Unable to avoid the rush. Like, he had a lot of negatives.
He got rocked a couple times too, Jimmy. He got effing rocked by some dudes. He's out of the pocket and is running, trying to get and guys would come in and murder him. I mean, you know that sound, that hard-hitting sound where it hits your helmet, and this was like back in the day where you could kind of do that, and he popped back up, and everybody's like, he's done. He, boom, throw a 40-yard pass right down the middle, Gronk, whatever the case is. Like, that guy, man, I sat there and just watched his highlights. Just when you think he was down and out, he just did something. I don't know, man. Like, it's hard not to throw the GOAT at him.
And then the knock against Babe Ruth was he didn't play against the best players of his era because there were no African Americans allowed to play MLB at the time. However, like, you have to be considered a GOAT if that term is still used today. Like Seth is the Babe Ruth of Boardon.
Yes.
Like
Goats for others.
You know what I mean? Like, like if you're the Babe Ruth, you're the best at whatever it is to do. And he won 20 games twice as a pitcher.
There's a lot of videos coming out with Babe Ruth. They're like high quality. It's pretty interesting to watch him, man. Kind of.
Doesn't look that good.
He looks so awkward. I tried.
No, like his numbers.
So awkward.
His numbers are ridiculous. But then I watch those videos. I'm like, I feel like he'd hit 180 these days. Is that wrong?
No.
I'm not trying to disrespect him, but when Adam Ottavino said I'd strike that dude out, I kind of agree with him.
I know.
No, and it could.
I just watch the videos. He looks like he's just kind of swinging out there.
Just swinging.
It's kind of like when you watch old NBA stuff, and the guy dribbling all right. Like, the
hockey too.
I think I don't know. Maybe the video, whatever, makes you look less athletic. I do think as athletes, like the human species has gotten bigger, faster, stronger, and it's more specialized now, so it's tougher to have success. And the training is off the charts and all. So I would imagine the standard athlete from today is so much better than the standard.
I will say this, though. Watching all those old school videos of hockey players, and they're just like, do. And then the baseball guys, you're like, what's going on with that? Even football to a certain extent. But then you watch, like, the old school boxers. Yeah, their style and the way they, like, put their guard up was a little different. But they were throwing bombs, man. And they were eating bombs. And it's like, be kind of goofy to watch a baseball game because they just look like unathletic. But the boxers, if you watch those old school clips, like, throwing bombs on each other. I don't know.
I always like boxing is a sport of hunger. Like all the groups that were at the bottom of society excelled in boxing.
Tough.
Because that was like you had to fight to eat.
Yes.
So maybe that balances out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I get you on that.
I do think hand speed and stuff like that, bigger guys with fast hands, like Ali was a heavyweight whose hand speed was unbelievable.
Blah, blah, blah.
Like Larry Holmes had a jab like that would be as good as any. I think guys like that would probably dominate, but I don't
know, man.
Here's a good point about baseball, I think. Go back to when they had, a 4-man rotation or less? I mean, if dudes are throwing and starting 45, 50 games a year, if they're pitching every 4 or every 3 days, the human arm hasn't changed. I understand strength and stretching, and we have more knowledge. Can you really throw the ball that hard and be that sharp if you're pitching much more often?
No, and if you talk to older players, or coaches from back in the day, what pitchers would do is they wouldn't go max early on. They would get through innings and then throw harder later to conserve whatever they had. And one of the things I don't think is talked about now, back in the day, if you had a sore arm, you pitched through it or else you're back selling furniture. It was a different world.
And back in the day, Dudes back in the day tore their UCL just like they do now. But now you have Tommy John. Back in the day, you tore your UCL and you dropped down and you threw sidearm, or you threw a spitball, or you threw a knuckleball. Back in the day, dudes could throw 95. You tear your ligament in your elbow. Nowadays, you get Tommy John. You come back stronger. You're out 12 to 18 months. Back in the day, they didn't have that surgery. So you drop down. You throw in a different way. You throw
What's
junk.
a spitball?
I'm just saying, like,
anything.
You lose.
Okay.
You probably lost 8-9 miles an hour of velocity, but you become that crafty guy.
Yeah.
You become a side armor. You throw all
Eckersley.
curveballs.
Most times it
junk.
doesn't work and you're back selling furniture,
Yes.
but you try.
I remember Jim Hayes last year on the radio. He always says, I believe, I believe, I believe. He is so optimistic about every Cardinals player. The Cardinals replaced a 20-home run player in Pujols for a catcher who hits 20 homers, and they lost their best pitcher last year. This will be the same kind of year as last year. Mike from Oakville.
The cat defends every suck-ass player on this awful team.
I didn't say that.
Wow.
Well, the truth
Wow.
is,
Wow, he's
the,
getting
the truth is
chirpy.
I mean, if we're being fair and we're basing this on reality, I think I said they need to get a lefty bat to replace what they lost in Poole. I
Get
said
him,
it.
Timmy. Let him know. Don't let him chirp you.
I said that.
30 years in the game?
I said I remember I got
Damn,
killed for that. I
boy.
said my number one priority wouldn't be upgrading catcher, though I would want. It just wouldn't be number one. What they lost in Pujols is,
You said that,
is
yes.
huge. And now they're going to say it's Walker or guys coming back and either emerging or resurging.
Resurging. Get the T-shirt going.
You can't handle the
Or
truth.
splurging.
Or splurging.
They didn't splurge, but they did on a catcher. They splurged.
Do they ever?
Excuse me? The video of that? As good as our pitching was last year's playoffs, we couldn't put runs on the board. Nothing has changed. Monty. Anyone want to mention how Waino pitching in the WBC is a big mistake, question mark? Dude is in his final year and his arm endurance is always a concern. But yeah, let's go throw a bunch more than necessary. This year is all about him padding his stats and trying to get into the Hall of Fame.
That's what the WBC's for? No, I
agree with the WBC on he and Miles.
I don't want it.
I heard you.
We've said it on the show, and I agree. If I'm an organization, I don't want any pitchers pitching in the WBC. Any of them.
Charlie is a realist with the Cardinals. Cat is a pathetic rights holder.
Oh, my gosh.
Wombat.
I wouldn't say
Damn,
it
boy.
that harshly.
Damn,
Gosh.
boy.
I mean, he's right, but
The
I
guy's
wouldn't say it like
he's
that.
our veteran on the team, man. The guy's been in the game 30 years.
I
Like
don't
you're
really-
chirping.
I don't really get what I'm saying is that different, except I'm not saying they're cheap and they don't want to win. I've said all these things early on, if you recall, that I got killed for because I said they need a bat to replace, and I've said it to this day. That's what I think their biggest need will be.
But here's the
He's
deal.
on my butt.
He's on your butt.
Oh, Jesus.
Here's where I think sometimes we use language because we like to speak with hyperbole sometimes. To me, cheap is not fair. What's the other word you said? You said not trying to win. That's not fair. Here's what's fair. You're not cheap, but you're too damn reasonable. But you're too damn risk averse. And here's the other thing. Are you not trying to win? No. But you're always kind of trying to win.
Oh,
You're
hey, Charlie.
You're kind of trying to win
There's
the
the realist.
Central. Let's win the
you go.
Central,
Get him,
the
Charlie.
worst division, and just see what happens.
Don't
That's
piss
what the
Charlie
Cardinals
off.
do.
There
Now,
you
mine
go.
is-
Every
There's
year.
the realist.
Now, no, that's the theatric.
I'm just saying.
No,
Because
it's true.
If you go back to our earlier conversation, how we started this, we defined the two questions. Have they done nothing? No. Have they done enough to close the gap with the elite teams? And I said, I think it's a fair question. So we agree.
Here's what I want.
I'm just not going, the wallet.
I wasn't mocking you, by the way. I wasn't.
I know you were.
No.
You were mocking the front office.
Here's what I want.
Yeah.
You
No.
wouldn't do it if Mo suddenly came on, though.
Oh.
Mo's listening. Call in.
Big guy.
Mosaic.
I love what the Cardinals do. Just once every decade, go for it. That's all I want.
Yeah, okay.
Once a decade.
Okay.
Like, do the 90-win thing,
Yep.
and just once a decade, go for it. That's all I
Once
want.
a decade.
That's all I want.
Is that too much to ask,
Can
Foa?
I say this also, if you recall, that I also said when When you have Arenado at third and Goldie at first, and now you start to realize that window isn't going to be open for.
You better do something.
I wanted them to do something.
Better do something.
Get another bat, because that was my chief concern.
Yes.
I said all this, but
They have bats. They need an ace.
But I'm not. But I'm not a realist.
No. Charlie's the realist.
They got 6 lefties when you take into account the switch hitters. They need an ace.
Dun, 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 dun.
They need a guy to start game 1, throw 7 innings, and shove 9 strikeouts up your you-know-what and set the damn tone.
Let's go.
Not a guy you have to pull after 75 pitches.
Thank you.
Marmol choked.
Thank you. Marmol did choke.
What happened to you? Did that Chinese balloon
I told you. That thing
mess
it
with
did
your
something.
psyche?
I'm just confused. I agree with him, then I agree with you. I don't know what to do.
My sperm's no good, damn it.
China did it. It got to me.
all of a sudden?
Oh, God, that laugh. Oh, Jesus. He was just staring at me for like 45 minutes. I was doing something. I was outside, too. Man. God, I love that drop. Debbie Downer. Which one? Marmol choked. The Cardinals just have the tip approach as opposed to going full penetration. The all-knowing expert.
I'm going to clip that off and play it for Ollie. And say, you remember coming on our show? Remember the board op with Seth? This is what he said.
Marmol choked.
Yeah, and then I'll talk to him about it.
Oh.
I'd love to hear some answers.
Sure, okay.
Would you? Would you do that?
I'm not acting tough guy.
Would you do that?
No, I'd respectfully ask. I think he's going to be a
We
great
asked
manager.
all those questions.
Yeah, Charlie did ask him some
So
tough
what would
questions.
you? Okay, we got him on right
And
now.
it was
What
a
do you-
lighthearted
okay,
interview.
What would you ask him? We
It
got.
wasn't
Hey, how you doing?
lighthearted. It was. I mean, we asked the right
was-
questions
it was
in a
fine.
respectful way,
it was,
but
it was playful.
Okay,
There's
we
a
got.
difference.
Wasn't, we're not like
whoa,
pressing
whoa,
him.
whoa, whoa. What did you say? That
Uh-oh, right
the
told
words
him.
we use,
Here we go.
language, right?
no, I'm saying.
He said he choked.
I think the decision making.
Did he not? Are you going to defend him and say he
Said
didn't?
he choked. No, I'm
His
saying
management
you didn't
was
ask him if he
awful.
choked. You had him
His
on.
management was
You didn't ask him
awful.
if. That's all I said. Look, we talked to him about it. We've all asked him questions about
I didn't
a
ask a
decision
question.
that
He
that
came
he
on for
admits
like
was
5
wrong.
minutes.
But you said he choked. You didn't ask him that.
Okay, we got Ollie Marmol on. Ollie, how you doing? Good.
Seth
good.
has a question for
Seth
you.
has
Play
a
the
question
drop
for you.
and
Go
then.
ahead. Seth has a question. What are you going to ask?
Hey, Ali Marmol, why did you pull Jose Quintana?
No, we asked him that. You said, was that a choke? Did you choke?
What?
What are you
Now you're
asking him?
confusing me.
What are you going to ask
I don't
him?
know because Kat's going to interrupt me.
What are you going to
So
ask?
it doesn't matter.
What are you going to ask him?
Who
How about
cares?
this?
You don't know.
Why did you-
know what you're talking?
My voice just cracked.
I just
Cat.
said, is that
Dude,
a harsh
you're really
way to
gonna
describe
die on
it?
this hill?
Chat.
Come
that you
on.
choked.
Cat, let me ask you, this.
Let
Let me ask you this.
China.
Again, I think this.
We gotta
gets-
go to break.
You know how you and I like to talk about semantics,
Yeah.
but I do think language matters. Now, saying Ali Marmol choked,
man.
is that going a little too far? Like, for example, I wouldn't say it that way. However, do I think that final inning with Helsley sped up on him and it got to a point where the moment had passed? Yes.
Yes.
And is that far away from choking?
No.
Now again,
It's not.
I wouldn't say it that way, but I don't think the man is
Stand
that
your
wrong.
No, but I'm saying the words are. And you said choke. You should. When a guy's on, you should say he choked.
Let me ask you this: do you think the Cardinals would have been better off in that game if Ali pulled Ryan Helsley earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I think now we're talking semantics on. Most people agree that was a bad decision. That inning sped up on him, and it turned into the baseball version of a disaster when it potentially could have been prevented.
I'm not disputing that. We had him on. We asked him all the right questions. We didn't give him a pass. I'm just saying, if you're going to be the guy who said Marmol choked, use the word choked and see what he says.
That's fair.
We got Ollie
Okay.
on. What are you going to ask him? Go.
All right, Ali, why?
Did you
here.
choke?
Yeah.
No. Would you consider
Why-
that a choke?
Well, what are you going to ask? Go.
You're asking me that, or I'm asking him that?
That's
all I'm
why
saying
we have a
is-
breakdown of communications. Play the sounder again. I'm saying if you
What
say a
are
guy
you-
choked and then he's on, you should say, "Hey, we've had this discussion. I say you choked. Would you consider that a choke?"
Well, he's going to say no. Obviously, he's
So you
going
don't
to
need
deny it.
ask
No, but I would like to ask him, look, if you would just let me ask the question at 5 minutes into it, I would be able to give you an honest question.
Go ahead.
Why did you pull Quintana after 75 pitches when he didn't give up a run the entire time? And then, knowing that Helsley was hurt, you brought in all these bullpen pitchers prematurely. He brought in Hicks too soon, who did well. He brought in Gallegos too soon in the 7th inning. The entire season, Hicks had pitched in the 7th. Then, what's his face? Gallegos would pitch in the 8th, and then Helsley would pitch in the 9th. And he prematurely pulled everybody in too soon, knowing that Helsley was hurt, and tried to get Helsley to get, 5 outs? When you knew that he had an elbow injury. There's no communication either.
Finger. But that's
elbow. Or whatever it was.
But that's I think
finger.
What you just
but
said.
You see my point.
What you just said is true.
I didn't say it wasn't.
In my opinion, because I think
but you're pressing me about it, and you know that he didn't.
No,
he did not manage the game properly.
No,
and that was a huge.
You're missing the point.
Blow.
You're missing the point.
No, I think you're just upset. I said he choked, and we're really getting into it.
No, because no. You're missing the point.
First of all, we're all friends here.
We discussed.
I don't want anyone to leave this.
Let me reel it back.
We discussed language, right, and words. You used the word choked, and I said you should use the word choke when he comes on.
But if he's going to say no, then what's the point?
He might not. He might have said, maybe
I want my kudos then if he says I did choke.
That's what
because I've been getting heat for it.
That's all I'm saying is that we had the whole discussion about words. That I'm saying if you're going to say he choked, then when he comes on, because that's kind of an insulting term, right? Use that term with him. And I'm not saying he handled it well. I'm not trying to. We had him on. We asked him all the pertinent questions. I'm just saying if he was on and you believe he choked.
Throw choke in there.
Throw it in there. Like seriously.
You're asking we can't ask a tough question.
No, you can't ask a tough question. What? My point is, everyone's a tough guy. Like as Charlie points out, you got to go in there, and if you want an answer, you have to ask it in a reasonable way. And everyone go in there and tell him he choked.
Go get him.
No one's going to do that. So I'm just saying, like you have to ask it in a way to get the answer you want, but in a respectful way. But everyone wants you to say they choked, they're cheap, whatever. And so that's what I'm speaking to. If you're going to say a guy choked, I know if I said he choked, I would use that word in front of him and see what he was. It's easy to say all that stuff until they're there in front of you. Then you would ask it in a more respectful way. That's
fair. All the questions were asked, though, and as the conversation went, it got playful. And by the time it would have came to me, I'm not going to be like, all right, did you choke, and then change the whole dynamic of the conversation.
You're going first next time.
I'm also
okay. I will.
I'm not.
You're going to intro him.
You're going to intro. That's the funny thing.
Scared.
You act like I'm afraid to ask it, and I'll do it.
He ain't scared.
No. I'm not saying you're afraid.
I said it like facetiously, honestly, when we were joking about it.
You're missing. I'm not even.
So you don't believe
we got to go to break.
You don't believe it that he did?
No, we don't have to go to break. So my thing is this. So it has nothing to do with. I'm not attacking you. It was kind of they're cheap, they're this, they're that. I'm saying you have to be like fair about that. And if you're going to say choke, then say it in front of a player or a manager instead of just saying it on the air. People want you to say, "Oh, he told it like it is choked." Okay, we'll go and ask him if he choked. That's all I'm saying is that words have. We're all the same. I'm not covering up or. You can't ask a tough. We did ask him the tough questions. That's all I'm saying.
I think what you're saying is 100% fair. Okay, I don't think what Seth said was that off, but I agree with you in this sense. Now, do I go down there in the clubhouse in the Blues dressing room like I did back in the day? No, but my same philosophy applies, which is if I say a player choked or the Cardinals are cheap, look, I'm not saying okay, all of a sudden I'm going to get a phone call, but that is different than saying the Cardinals are just a little too risk-averse. They're a little too reasonable. Hey, I think that inning sped up on Ollie a little too quickly. Again, and I say that because I'm not going to destroy the dude and then go in the clubhouse and the dude comes up to me and then not say that to his face.
That's all I'm saying.
And I think that's fair also. Like, these are big boys.
Different scenario with me, though.
I know, but like these athletes and coaches are big boys. They can take fair criticism. But they don't like it when you disrespect them, you go over the line, you make it personal, or you use crazy language that is in their minds, unfair.
I agree
and I
with you.
try to not do that.
I agree with you 100%. I agree when you said I'd like to see them not being so afraid to take a risk.
And I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say that inning sped up on Ollie. I don't even care that you said choke. Like, I'm not – you missed the point. I wasn't criticizing you, but all these words that, there, you're telling it like it is, or blah, blah, blah. I'm saying you got to use different words when you're discussing it with the player, because if you're going to use that kind of stuff, and it's not you, cheap or whatever, then you should say it in front of the player. He's a choker. He choked. Say it in front of the player.
Marble choke.
That's
He's
all.
a joker.
Marble choke.
He's a smoker.
And I
He's a
think if you think of it in those
midnight
terms, you'd
choker.
agree with me.
No, that's fair. And I think he's going to be a great manager, and he's young, you know.
But you're going to ask him the hard questions when we get him on again.
I'll do it.
Yeah, you don't care.
That was
Yeah.
also his first
We
playoff
asked him the
game.
hard questions. We asked him all about that.
Right. So that's why I didn't really say anything, because you guys covered it.
Yeah. I didn't ask a question. Dear Lord, it was a joke, Cat. Give it a rest. Leave Seth alone, Wombat.
Yeah, you jerk.
Don't take no crap, Seth, especially from a mascot for 23-year-old kids. He's not to be taken seriously, Debbie Downer. I mean, good
Wait,
God.
you are a mascot
Yes.
for 23-year-olds? Is there a
When
story
did you
there?
start turning on Cat all of a sudden?
That's a new one, though.
Because people are angry about
They're
the
angry.
Cardinals.
They are.
That's
They get
passion. That's
pissed
good.
about it. But what
It's
do you
good.
have to do with it?
No, it's good.
Good God.
But I'll stand by
Yeah.
what I've said, which is I think they needed to improve in
yeah.
other areas first.
And I'll say finally, although we'll probably say more after this.
Yeah.
I think Ollie's philosophy and game script would have been just A-OK had Ryan Helsley not walked off the mound a couple days earlier with the finger. I would have never crushed him, even if it didn't work, for going to Helsley for 5 outs, because they did that in big games during the regular season. And that's why they rested Helsley so much. We all joked around, he was on my fantasy team. He never pitched. That's why you keep that dude fresh, so you can go 5 outs. But that was too much of an ask when he walked off the mound with the finger.
Yeah.
You didn't
That's
know
all I
how
was
his
saying.
you didn't
That's
know
all
how
he's
he
saying.
was going to respond after
all said
sitting
that.
down and coming back. Like,
all
okay,
he's
he's
saying.
good for an inning, then he sits down for 20 minutes, then he comes back, tries to ramp it up. You didn't know how he was going to respond.
We all agree with that. We all agree.
Calling someone a choker doesn't sound like being a man for a man. Hey, I know. It's the all-knowing expert. I believe it's a man. What's it called? What's
Man for others.
man for others?
Man for chokers.
You may step down, Cat. Wombat.
I like self-appointed
I
victories.
want call
I
in.
think
and
that
go
was a
toe-to-toe
tie.
with him.
I think that was a tie. Maybe I think
Call in.
Actually, I think Seth 51.
You
Cat
want to go
49.
toe-to-toe with anybody on here?
Of course
Call
you
in.
do.
Hold on. Seth 52. Cat 48.
Seth stood his
Of
ground.
course, Charlie.
Seth stood his ground.
Charlie is right.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. For all the money they've wasted on middling starters, they could have bought a real ace, Max Scherzer home. They could have brought Max Scherzer home years ago. I blame expanded playoffs. The Cardinals have become comfortable being good, not great. Timmy Van Gelder.
That's fair also. I think that's very fair. That comment right there.
Here's Kyle. Big hands. Tough guy.
Loves Connor Thomas.
Loves Connor Thomas. Ollie's process was good, but the execution was bad, as was the ability to adjust in Game 1 of the playoffs. But it did unravel quicker than we've gotten credit for unraveling. Kyle.
Agreed. And it all comes down to a finger that you should have known was suspect.
Yes,
And-
suspect.
And should have acted accordingly. We all agree with that.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is off the top of my head, but Helsley was missing arm side, like almost beaning dudes during that inning, if you remember. He was.
Yeah.
He looked like
The second inning I'm talking about. He was fine the first inning.
he looked like something was going on.
Yes.
No question about it.
Does Cat feel any responsibility for Bally's going bankrupt due to his exorbitant salary? Angry old guy. Well, he's giving it back now. You guys didn't hear that.
Just so you know, I've never
giving it
drawn a
back.
salary.
No.
I do it for the love of sport.
That's it, dude.
And because I know I'm a beloved
Come on.
mascot for the youngsters.
How about that?
Wow.
A mask?
A mascot for 20.
That's a new one.
Jesus. Call in.
Listen, if you
Call in. You want to
if-
do it?
if being a
you wanna
mascot-
go toe-to-toe with Jimmy, go ahead.
if being a mascot can keep you employed for 23, 24 years, sign me
They
up.
make $700K, Jimmy.
too.
Sign me up.
The
I'll be a
mascots were the
mascot.
coolest part of the NHL All-Star game. Arenado's going to have something to say to John Mozeliak if they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs this year, 3 and 4.
You know what, though? I'm going to give John Mozeliak and Bill DeWitt Jr. the benefit of the doubt. on this point. If you say the market got out of hand, okay. We know you're not going to go crazy. We get it. If you have needs at the trade deadline, you better spend that money because you've now twice said it.
Yeah.
We're going to increase payroll. You didn't do it enough, I think, for most fans. And then you said, what was the word? It wasn't dry powder. It was bandwidth. He said, we have bandwidth. That means if trade deadline comes and you need a lefty in the pen to strike somebody out and you need an extra bat or whatever, you better spend some money.
You better spend that money.
Bandwidth is dry powder.
I
Same
know,
thing.
but it's a fun word to say. Dry powder was 10 years ago. Bandwidth is new. I like bandwidth.
Fight your battles in your territory, Seth. The drops. Play that Bally's music every time, Debbie Downer. You could get him just by doing drops, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to have a conversation verbally.
See,
It
that's
hadn't
there you
been
go.
addressed.
There
There
you
was
go. See,
an elephant in the room.
You did the right thing there. Don't just play drops. You got to fight your
You
battle.
can play
It is-
drops. That's your thing.
Yeah, it's all good.